Hello, good morning, good afternoon, good evening, wherever it might be. My name is Sean. I'm delighted you're joining us for today's ESPC community webinar. This webinar is part of the Microsoft Fabric Week, proudly sponsored by Acterace, who are also a platinum sponsor for FabCon Europe. Today, I'm joined by Mike Murata, who will present Future-Proof Your Data, Achieve AI Readiness, Real-Time Decisions, and Self-Service Planning and Analytics with Fabric and Acterace. We love hearing what you guys have to say, so remember to join in the conversation about today's webinar. Our handle is at ESPC_community and our hashtag is hashtag ESPC25. Tweet us, tag us, and tell us what you learned. Don't forget to check out our Learning Hub, which is updated with the latest blogs, ebooks, webinars, and how-to videos. You can access and view the Learning Hub by visiting our website, sharepointeurope.com, and clicking the Content tab at the top. Don't let the learning stop here. Continue to keep up and stay ahead by joining us for our next webinar, Traditional ML in the Age of AI, Exploring Data Science Capabilities in Fabric and Beyond, with Maria Moore. This webinar will take place Wednesday, May 28th at 3 p.m. CEST. For more information on this webinar, please check out www.sharepointeurope.com/register for webinars. Looking to expand your Microsoft Fabric skills? Join us in Vienna for the 15th to 18th of September for the European Microsoft Fabric Community Conference. Experience 3 keynotes, 10 full-day tutorials, and over 130 plus expert-led sessions covering data engineering, real-time analytics, business intelligence, data governance, and more. Sessions are delivered by Microsoft experts, community leaders, and Microsoft corporate speakers. Enjoy hands-on workshops, valuable networking, and memorable social events. Scan the QR code today and get your ticket and use the code FABRICWEEK150 for €150 off the current deal. FabCon Europe tutorials are here. We're excited to launch a series of hands-on tutorials focused on the latest innovations and practical applications of Microsoft Fabric. Topics include Microsoft Purview, Power BI, data warehousing, Fabric data agents, SQL databases, and more. Learn directly from experts and gain real-world skills you can apply immediately. Use code FABRICWEEK150 to get €150 off the current deal, limited time offer. After the webinar, we'll have a questions and answer session. Type any questions you might have into the questions box. Questions will be selected and answered at the end of the presentation. This webinar will be recorded and added to the Resource Center, where you'll be notified by email when it's available. And now I'm going to pass you over to today's webinar presenter, Mike. Hello, Mike. Thanks for joining us today.
Hey, Sean. How you doing, man?
Thank you, presenter.
All right. Good afternoon, everyone. Nice to see you all. Really appreciate you joining us today. I'm Mike Murata. I'm the VP, Global VP here at Acterace. Seated on the East Coast, okay, Philadelphia, actually. Beautiful, rainy Wednesday here for us in the United States. Hope you guys are getting into the summer spirit wherever you are in the world. I'm excited for that. 3 young daughters over here under the age of 9, so we'll be at the pool a lot and all kinds of Disney movies and all kinds of fun stuff happening over here. Now, today, I'm really happy to be here with you all. Today, we want to kind of focus in and talk about a variety of different things around the Fabric platform. The main one of those is how do we future-proof, right, our data, okay? How do we achieve AI readiness? So many people here and are asked, especially in our field, right? Can you add AI to that? Right? I wish it was that easy, right? So many people nowadays are used to just going on the ChatGPT or Google Gemini or Copilot on the internet and asking questions. Now, does that mean that every business in the world is ready to have that sit on top of their data warehouses and Fabric and Power BI? No, right? That is not what that means. But that's what end users are expecting. So how do we actually bridge that gap from I need everything yesterday to we need to make sure our data is accurate and ready? We will also then go into real-time decision making. So being able to find anomalies to understand problems going on, but also take action directly inside the Fabric platform and allow end users a really nice and flexible experience to do that. Last but not least, self-service analytics. Self-service used to be a buzzword, right, before the AI age has started, But at the end of the day, people want to have the ability to query their data, to create custom reports, to create what if scenarios without having to ask IT for help, without IT having to go and update something in a back-end database. So how can we make that dream a reality using familiar tools like Power BI, Excel, and Fabric to make that dream a reality? So all of those things we'll kind of be diving in here today. So I will kind of kick things off. And again, any questions, everyone, please put them into the chat and into the webinar panel. And then we will save 10, 15 minutes at the end, and we will really try to answer any and all of those questions for you as we proceed. So with that being said, let's dive into the fun stuff here, okay? Few things, right, that all of us deal with, okay? The ever-evolving data landscape, right? Challenges of modern data analysis. So many times we are dealing with data silos and inconsistencies. Virtual show of hands, right? What's the most popular button inside of Power BI? Typically it becomes, and from what we do, right, we build these beautiful, amazing models. We've cleansed data. We went through ETL. We're pulling data from 15 data sources. We put things into Power BI and Fabric for people to consume. And then our end users say export to Excel and create a data silo. How do we stop that from happening, right? How do we get rid of these data silos? What we hear from our business partners and customers all over the globe is that we have a need for faster, more agile decision making, right? There's a growing demand for AI-driven insights. No company and no executive team wants to be left behind here in the growing, AI age. And again, there's an ever-increasing gap between reporting and action. So again, reporting the news, right? That's not okay, and that's not good enough anymore. 10 years ago, it was great to say, hey, we're reporting the news. Here's a dashboard with visuals and things like that. Nowadays, people need to make decisions and take action in minutes and hours, opposed to weeks and months while we're waiting for projects to be taken away. So our key session agenda and key takeaways team is going to be AI readiness, how to build a data foundation using Fabric and Microsoft tools, how we can move from static reports to agile decision making, and then self-service reporting analytics, as I talked about. How can we empower users to do that without waiting on IT? So a few minutes on just who we are. So Acteris is a global Microsoft ISV. And what we do as a Microsoft ISV is we supplement the Microsoft stack. So we turn Fabric and Power BI into a two-way street. So we have a suite of custom visuals and a write-back engine that allows you to write back to any data source that you may have in your environment. In addition, you can also write back to Fabric and any Fabric SQL tables that you may have. And we have a very robust engine that even allows us to do all different types of financial planning and analysis, do different types of sales planning, all directly inside of the Microsoft stack. So when we talk about AI readiness, right, this is where we want to spend the majority of our time here today. How do we build a foundation for intelligent insights? So as Sean mentioned, we are sponsoring the FabCon event in Vienna in September. We were also a platinum sponsor for the North American FabCon event in Las Vegas. On my way out, right, I'm listening to a podcast, the CISO Side Up podcast, about AI advancements and security concerns. And one thing that their guest speaker, Travis Buckingham, brought up, and I took note of, and I think it's important for this audience, is that his stance was that rigorous data validation and auditing is key to efficient and effective use of AI. He went in a little deeper to kind of say, right, think about the world that we're in today. If you have an executive that is expecting to maybe do a natural language query, right, using AI, using technology that's coming out every single day, and if they get a wrong answer once or twice, you're going to lose that person, right? That person will lose trust in what we are trying to do and what value we're trying to bring to the business. So how do we bridge this gap between I want answers and I want everything tomorrow, and we need to make sure that data is ready so we can actually use it and get something meaningful and accurate out of that integration? So again, what this view was, and what my view is, that no matter what we automate when it comes to AI, You guys know as well as I do, it's garbage in is garbage out. If our data is in disarray and we have different naming conventions, or we're using something that is not aligned, that can bring inconsistencies, right, to the data. And inaccurate data means flawed AI models. If we have flawed AI models, right, what that means is we can lose trust from our business users. So how do we bridge this gap, right? Missing values, duplicate data, format inconsistencies, it really brings into light master data management as a whole, right? We need the ability to make changes on the fly, to validate, have a human at the end of the anomaly detection and AI readiness that says this is accurate. And once you do that, now this data can be considered AI ready for whatever type of usage and whatever tools you and your company would like to kind of take on. A lot of our companies are dealing with raw data from multiple sources, right? We're doing modeling and cleansing. That equals our quality data that we offer, right? And it can give us AI ready data and insights. So what does Fabric offer out of the box, right? Number one, data ingestion, right? As you guys know, with Microsoft Fabric, we now have multiple tools under the same umbrella, right? So we have a OneLake, we have Azure Data Factory, right, and Gen 2. So we have pipelines and ETL and things that we need. We have Synapse, we have Power BI that have all become Microsoft Fabric. So when you think about Microsoft Fabric, they have an amazing foundation for data ingestion. They also have tools that allow you to do data transformation. And they even have some out-of-the-box stuff around data profiling and quality checks on the back end, right? Which is great. But we also may need validation from the front end, and that's where we can come in. So they give you a really solid foundation for AI usage, right? But what Acteris does as a Microsoft partner is it kind of extends that Fabric capability, right? So we're looking at how we automate and simplify data cleansing for AI and anomaly detection. So being able to configure and manage automated error detection with an intelligent pattern recognition, having a user-friendly data validation rule creation where you can say, hey, if equals X, Y, and Z, then I want to take X action, right? And being able to do so with very basic user interaction, with simple formulas, with the ability to choose something from a drop-down and not have to be some hardcore coder or developer to be able to do these things. People want interactive data quality dashboards, and we really want to start removing that IT burden, right? And enable business users to actually manage these things. So what I'll do now, okay, everybody, is I would like to switch screens and maybe take us into Power BI and into Fabric and do a real quick introduction, okay? As I mentioned at the beginning of this meeting, right, Acteris as a Microsoft partner offers a variety of different things. We have a full suite of custom visuals, and what you can see now, everybody, is I'm inside of Power BI. If I come here and I go to my edit screen mode, I just want everyone to understand kind of what this is as foundational product. As you all know, using Power BI and Fabric, right, there's standard visuals that you can leverage, bar charts, line charts, etc. What we do, and there's like something like a matrix visual, right, that all of us are very popular and use, is a pivot table inside of Power BI. There's a table edit visual, like all these different things that you can just drag on items into a column and they show up. The problem is, what if I want to make a change? What if there is an anomaly that our engine has determined that I need to address before that data is quote unquote AI ready and ready for management usage? That's where we come in. So instead of using like a standard matrix as an example, okay, you can actually use the Acteris matrix. So all we are is custom visuals that you can get directly from the Microsoft App Source. Now these custom visuals are supercharged, right? They are standard visuals, but on steroids. So if you know how to use Power BI, you'll know how to use this tool set. Okay, and what it allows you to do now is communicate and update data in the back-end databases and allow you to start doing some AI readiness and activities like that directly inside of Power BI. To showcase one thing, I want to kind of walk through real fast and let me authenticate everybody, which is a fun tradition here that we undertake every single day, and I'm sure you guys deal with the same thing. So I'll authenticate for everybody, and then we'll get started with one of our interfaces here. So one really cool thing about the Acteris stack, everybody, is that we offer something called the Acteris Modeler or Data Hub. Now, what this allows you to do, or even end users to do, is to be able to manage your backend data, your Power BI and Fabric models directly through a web-based portal, okay? And really cool, this is really cool because you can set up something called Acteris types. So these types, okay, think about looking at backend database and giving things a label, right? Hey, this is a integer. This is a certain type of data, right? There's X, Y, and Z. So as you can see here on this screen, if I come over here, I can actually search all my backend tables of my data warehouse, of my Fabric SQL tables, whatever that may be. And now I can come in here and look at an individual table that's feeding my model. Okay, I can look at an employee table, a job title, a status table. And as you can see here, everybody, I'm not opening up a backend. I'm not opening up SQL Management Studio. This is a web-based portal that actually allows you to manage your backend data in any way you would like. So what I want to show real quick is just how you can quickly and easily set up data types through this portal that will enable anomaly detection and anything that you have going on in the future in the front end. So one big cool thing I want to make sure you guys see here is that we now have this Acteris types, which is a column type. So in this example, we have a column name, name position, and what we want to do is have that be a text comment, right? Whatever that may be. Is it integer, currency? Is it an image? Is it a date? Is it a true false statement? You can come in here and make these selections, okay? And then whenever this data is used on the front end, it will automatically know and be intelligent in regards to what this should be and what it is allowed to be. So if a user goes to update a position and types in a text or a numerical value, it will not allow you to do that because you have made this a text only field. Now the same thing goes. Now this is where we're going to start getting into AI readiness. Now if you guys see this is a linked column. So what that means is now, no matter what we ingest into this position column or into this table, right, we have linked this. So we need all data now to be able to be linked to another column. Think of a production database or our ERP data where we have a listing of all of our active positions. Now, anything that does not fit that and map to that exact item, we need to throw an error, right? So that's what you can do quickly and easily leveraging this solution. You can set up linked columns. So you can say, hey, I want my job description, right? Or my job title to come from a source. Now, anything that does not connect with data in that source, I want to be able to address. And without an exaggeration, audience, like legit, you can set up things like this in 15, 20 minutes and get real-time anomaly detection. It's very easy to interact with data. And then you can have your front end, your end user, users be able to come in and see the anomaly detection. So extremely powerful stuff here. You can create tables that are right back enabled. You can do all different types of things here. And again, everybody, this will show inside of your Fabric or Power BI dashboards immediately. So if I want to, as an example, maybe add a new column, right? I can now come in here and say, Mike, comment XYZ, and I want this to be a long text, which means unlimited, write back and unlimited characters. I can press save changes. Just like this, everybody, we created a write back enabled column in a backend database, all right? And no one in the market is doing things this easy and giving this type of portal, okay? So again, Acteris types, please keep that in mind. Now, we've set something up, right? And I just showed you guys how we can set up, a linked column around a position. So this is where I want to show you the end user experience and how Acteris is augmenting and supercharging Fabric and Power BI for organizations across the globe. Here we have a very simplistic dashboard. Everything on your screen right now is 100% Power BI and Fabric. Down the bottom, you can see that we have 15 issues that are not, 15 positions that are not AI ready, okay? 15 employees that have not been reviewed or their positions are not aligning with our master data dictionary. Now, so we can have proactive reports, we can have a dashboard, you can have alerts and notifications. Now, let me show you our solution in action here. You have the ability to simply click edit mode if you would like. And now you'll see an Acteris visual here that actually allows and enables end users to come in here and give an update of a review status, right? To maybe align. So if you guys see, we have analyst as a starting position. Now we have a drop down of all of our predetermined and available fields from our HR data coming from ERP. So instead of an analyst, we can make this person an HR analyst, okay? Now I can come here and press save changes. This is writing that data back and updating that individual, okay, to an HR specialist, taking care of an anomaly and preparing that data for write back and reporting. So if I go back to my view mode, everybody, you can now see that all of our information has changed, right? We now, instead of 15, have 14 positions. Our reporting is updated, and we have a to-do list to show that all of this stuff is taken care of. Another experience that end users really enjoy is giving a flexible Excel-like experience. Excel, right, guys, is the most popular tool on the face of the earth. If you took Excel away, organizations would crumble piece by piece, right? Because it's the glue that keeps companies together. Now, with that being said, how about a full-blown write-back enabled experience directly inside of Power BI and Fabric? Now, what I mean by that is we now have the ability to do exactly what I just showed you, right? Where I want to come in and make this person and align them to something. But the cool part is here is that I am now, let's say I want to review this one, but the rest of these I'm just going to mark as investigated to let the team know that I'm investigating these and I haven't had time to kind of update these yet. We can leave rich text commentary, right? Because you can do all this stuff. And the point of the matter is that this is all write back enabled. So now I can press save. It will write back to the database and refresh Power BI instantaneously. As you can see, everybody, this is the blurring of Excel, of interaction, of robust data modeling and AI readiness. So being able to have simple logic that dictates anomaly detection, proactively send these out to end users, and have the ability for them to make all of these updates, write them back to a database, right? And be able to make these data and this data AI ready. This can be used for a myriad of use cases. But again, the main point here is that no matter what we do, garbage in is garbage out. So there's always going to be anomalies. There's always going to be problems that AI or different types of tools are flagging. Now the question becomes, how are we going to resolve those? Do we need to go to 6 different places, or can we just do that in the same exact screen we're using for reporting? This is a simple way to handle these and to provide this type of information and capabilities directly to your team. Now, as we move forward, real-time decision support, what do we do next, right? How do we bridge the gap between insight and action, right? Great, we have some AI-ready data. We are providing real-time results. We are streaming information to end users, right? What's next? So what I want to do now is kind of talk about the need for speed, okay? So the need for speed in decision making. As we all know, right, delayed decisions equal lost revenue and opportunities, right? Guys, in the tariff-based world, right, how many organizations need to now do ad hoc modeling that they may have never had to really do before? It used to be okay to model and take a few days to get something back to an executive, right? And in many organizations, what were we doing when someone asked for a new model? We're exporting to Excel, we're updating drivers, we're manipulating something, and we're sending that spreadsheet back to somebody that asked for it. With today's ever-changing landscape, right, delayed decisions equals lost revenue, a lost opportunity. It can actually mean an effect on your bottom line, okay? So business opportunities are routinely lost, right? Market conditions change in hours, not weeks. Things are updating at all times, and traditional reporting cycles simply can't keep pace. So how do we provide a structured but flexible experience for our end users, right? A supply chain company all of a sudden gets an alert that we are out of inventory, right? How do we understand where we just had a massive demand fluctuation? How do we prevent that becoming an issue for us down the line? Now, Fabric, again, What does it come with out of the box, everybody? We have live connections to multiple data sources, right? We have the ability to stream data, right, directly inside of the platform, which is awesome. And we have those real-time dashboards in Power BI. So as you know, we can use direct query mode and be able to provide these different things directly inside of the solution itself. But where does it need help? It lacks robust write back and planning capabilities. And for many organizations, right, they have to leverage Power Platform for when the users want to interact with data. Now, that could feel like a Power App, right, where we're using Power Apps, or maybe some kind of form that we've created with a Power Automate and all this different stuff, right? But at the end of the day, for any of you that have developed and delivered these one-off applications leveraging Power Platform, what we hear from customers is most of the time they go, this is clunky, this is rigid. Can I have my Excel spreadsheet back, right? So again, how do we bridge that gap, keep them in Power BI, keep them in Fabric, leveraging the data that we had and limiting when those data silos are created? So as you guys have already seen a very small taste of, leveraging and inputting and leveraging an Acteris visual inside of your typical read-only reports allows end users to now make changes to KPIs, to forecast, to create what-if scenarios on real-time data without IT involvement, okay? So what I want to show you now is how this actually looks and what your team can actually do for the first time ever. So with that being said, we talked about like a supply chain use case, right? Let me give you an example. So here is a report, okay? And as you can see, everybody, this is a pretty nice looking report. We have a landing page that takes us and allows us to maneuver through our entire platform. And yes, although this is a menuing system and looks like an application, this is actually Power BI. So here you can see demand planning, price management, data management. We have read-only stuff. And then I'm also going to show you here how we can see issues and resolve them without leaving the screen. All right. In this example, everybody, you guys see that over here that we have all of our products and we can see where people are in the status from a planning and reporting perspective. And as an end user, I now see I have a massive problem. Here, what week did ending inventory go negative? I can see that in February 2024, we have an issue. So what do? How can I take action? How can I fix this? So using standard Power BI functionality, I can now drill through into my demand planning screen. Because I did a drill through, everybody, it actually filters the report and only shows me the Surface Book 3 that was having an issue. Okay, top of your screen, standard Power BI, bottom of your screen, Acteris custom visual, just so you guys have your bearings. Okay, now one thing I also want to make sure that everyone understands is that you have menuing systems where end users can create scenarios. So we never write back to actual data. If you see what I'm actually going to show you here, we're working on a forecast version. Okay, so again, you can have all different types of information. I can actually create new what-if scenarios directly inside of the product. So in this example, what I'll do is, and you see I just click the button, right? And what it takes me to now is my scenario and product management. So if I want to create a new scenario, right, I can come in here and say, hey, this is my FabCon scenario. I want this to be in progress. And this will now pull in and populate a version with our actuals from last year, right? A lot of organizations will add different types of parameters here where they say, hey, I want this to be run off an ML script. I want this to be a 15%, demand growth over last year, whatever that may be. But just like that, everybody, we have now created, okay, a new version of data that I can now leverage directly with the solution itself. So if I come back here to my demand planning screen that I was walking us through, you will now be able to see that I have new versions available. I have my forecast version, of course, but just like that, I have now created a new what-if scenario that I can now see in my scenario dropdowns. Everything goes into an audit log team, and all we're doing here is creating a what-if analysis and a version ID in the backend database that now someone can play around with without breaking our production data. They are not creating a data silo. They are not exporting to Excel. They are bringing all of this into the Fabric stack in the Microsoft ecosystem. Now, back to our issue, right? We ran into a problem here with inventory, demand, and supply replenishment. So here you can see that we got hit with some pretty high demand, right, in January and February, and that kind of, zapped all of our inventory here. I saw that alert and notification on the front of the page, and now as an end user, I can come in here and start to model different types of supply replenishment that we can now do, right? I can now pull information from a certain, items from a certain warehouse, right? And I can purchase new things, whatever that may be, press save changes and see the effect on my model. Does this get us back on track for the rest of the year based on our current demand? Right? So now you can see that only 1 month we're dealing with an issue. I've resolved all of their issues here, and maybe I want to come in here now and also take care of that one. So when I press save changes, you can now see that real time, all of this is taking place inside the solution itself. Okay, this is the power and this is the future of what people are looking for inside of Power BI. Other examples that I want to make sure people see and are aware of. If I come here to this screen, I'm sure most of us in the audience have thought and used maybe like something like parameters before inside of Power BI and Fabric. Now, as you guys know, right, parameters inside of Power BI are really meant for like a session. So I log in, I want to play with something, I see the effect with my eyes, but I can't share that with anybody. We cannot collaborate on that version. I cannot approve that version and have that move into my executive reporting, right? So very limited in regards to what you can do with parameters, all right? Now, with the Acteris stack inside of Fabric, our end users can now do all different types of drag and drop, and also right back, as I just showed you, that actually allow you to model information. So here I'm adjusting my revenue. You can now see that our entire report is updating to reflect that change. Now, because we're working in that modeled scenario, everybody, okay, what is actually happening is we're updating the back-end data model, okay? Now, if I talk to Frank Smith, who's in our London office, when they log in, they are going to actually be able to see the Acteris version. They will be able to manipulate data. They will be able to leave a comment. We can communicate about this. So it's different than just using basic parameters. You now have the ability to do different types of modeling, to see the effect of something, and this is written back and stored in the back-end database. So whether you want to use a drag and drop slider-based approach, right? Or if you want to come in here and update quantities and percentages and gross margin, whatever that may be, you have the ability to do that directly here inside the solution. Another really popular tool that people are using, and I've already kind of shown you guys this a little bit, but take away the word write back for a second, okay? Let's think about how we can start opening up Power BI to more users, right? A lot of people, if you've ever dealt with and you guys have finance businesses that you support, right? What are the things that they're going to be looking for? They are comfortable in Excel. What's one thing that scares business users? The three-letter word of DAX, right? For us that you build Power BI reports, it's become like a second language, but for the everyday user, it's a new formulaic language for them to leverage. So with our Smart Excel visual, everybody, this blurs the line between Excel and Power BI. End users can now come in and do ad hoc scenarios, but also leverage Excel logic for different types of reporting, self-service feel, everything they want to do inside this solution. What do I mean by that? Now, you saw my last screen where I pressed save changes, it wrote back to the database and refreshed the report. When it comes to real-time what-if analysis, how about the ability, okay, to come in here and have a 100% Excel-based experience? Okay, now do you guys see how this updated in real time? So with Smart Excel, your end users can actually have a real-time experience, pre-save event, and be able to drag and drop and use an Excel UX and UI to update information. Now remember, we're working in a version of data. We're talking about scenarios. We're talking about decision support. They cannot break anything. This is a version of data with row level security for EMEA. Now, as I mentioned, how about we have the ability to use Excel formulas, right? So now I can say, hey, I want this, my utilities to be 30% of my property tax. And I can drag it all the way across. And now I have a formulaic based input or scenario. Really cool. You can actually have personalization. So I can now save my report definition. So based on who I am and what my enter ID is, I can now save my view of this report. I can save the formulas that I've used. There is no better experience for the majority of your users than to give them all of the structured data that we're talking about today inside of Fabric, right? But giving them the ability to also query that data, to also manipulate that data, to have their own views of that data directly here inside of the solution itself. And again, everyone, this can look and feel any way you want. So we can come in here and say, what happens if we have an 85% gross margin? Wouldn't that be nice? Something more realistic, right? Let's go to 11%. You can see that our totals and our updates and everything changes our entire model and does all of that directly in real time. So that's one example, a few examples there of how you can kind of do real-time planning and KPI updates directly inside the solution itself. Now I started dovetailing into self-service reporting and analysis. How do we do this in Power BI? How do we do this in Excel, but still leverage all of the data models and everything that we have cleansed and ready inside of Fabric and Power BI? So what are the benefits of self-service analytics, everyone? Faster decision cycles, reduced IT dependency, having increased agility, and empowering our teams to actually do something, okay? Real world example, a marketing team needs to quickly analyze campaign performance, and we work for a very large company that typically if I want a model change or if I need a version of data created, I have to submit a support ticket. I have to go through multiple rounds and wait for somebody to do that work for me. How do we avoid that, but still give the flexibility and the confidence in our data that we can? Fabric out of the box, Power BI has a great drag and drop report creation experience, right? But as we talked about, thinking about building our own Power BI reports can be very daunting for end users. Built-in exploration and visualization tools and a very intuitive user-friendly interface. There's a reason that Power BI is the top right in the Gartner quadrant for the last 5 years running. It's a very intuitive and user-friendly experience to develop. Gives you that solid base, all right, for self-service reporting. As we continue and talk about how our partnership with Microsoft is leveraged across the globe, we can add that right back in planning, right? We can give that self-service Excel-based user experience, smart formulas, row level security, and the ability to view data and build reports off of that. So let me show you what that looks like in action, okay? So as I pull up our screen here, if you remember, we were already kind of working here and I kind of showed you some stuff that you can do using this smart Excel experience, all right? One really cool thing about this and that users love is that you can actually build your own reports using like an Acteris wizard, which is a pivot table, or you can enable customers and your internal customers to, let's say, look at a read-only version of a fact table on the back end. A lot of people just want data that they can then build reporting off themselves. So what I'm doing here, and again, this is only for certain people that have permissions, but what I did was find my customer dimension in my backend data model, and now I've pre-populated an entire Excel tab with all of that data. Okay, this is read-only. No one can change anything. No one can adjust anything. But guess what I can do, right? I can now come in here and build my own formulas and do my own work directly here inside of the solution itself. I can create calculated columns. I can augment data. I can create a tab and do VLOOKUPs and SUMIFs and create my own self-service reporting. And as I showed you before, save that report for me only. This is extremely powerful, everybody, where they can now come in here as an end user without IT involvement, without being able to break any of our backend data, but still have a window into it, still be able to do their own reporting, still be able to leverage and create things without using DAX, right? To be able to use Excel formulas, to be able to do this type of stuff directly here inside the solution itself. Additionally, we've been talking about Excel a little bit today, right, everybody? So with Excel, Acteris also has an add-in that you and your teams can purchase and get from the Microsoft App Source, right, and the Microsoft Marketplace. So in this example, and this is really cool, all right, this gives you and your end users the ability to build custom reports on top of your Power BI and Fabric data. I want to be clear here. This is not export to Excel. This is steps and leaps and bounds above analyze in Excel, because here you can actually build your own custom reports. So as long as you have the correct role level security and permissions, I can come here to my pivot grid, and now I can find my models that are feeding Power BI and begin to build custom reports myself via drag and drop. As an example, if I want to do something really quick here, I'll build you guys something. I want my account groups, right, in my rows. I want my account name underneath that so I can drill down and see the information that I need. For my account groups, I don't want to see everything, right? I want to see revenue, cost of sales, and maybe expense, and I want my revenue to be on top. What I want my columns, right? Maybe I want to go to my date, and I want to see across the top, I want to see my calendar year, right? Or I want to see my months. So this is the self-service nature that we're talking about here. So in my columns, I want to see my months. I also want to see, right? Maybe I want to see versions. Maybe I want to do a budget versus actual analysis, right? So now I can come in here and say that in each month, I want actual versus budget. As you can see, everybody, we are now building a report from scratch. So for my filter, I also want to be able to move throughout my organization, right? I want to see my organizational hierarchy, and maybe I want to also be able to filter on year, right? So now I can come in here, drag this in, and say, hey, I only want to see 2021. Now, when I create this grid, everybody, just so you know, this is a live connected report to the back-end data that you guys are leveraging and feeding into Power BI. This is a Excel-based query experience directly to your data. So now end users can build their own custom reports, leveraging data that you guys have already cleansed and made available inside of Power BI. They cannot break anything, they cannot adjust anything, because guess what? No data lives here in this environment, right? All data that we're going to be talking about and looking at lives in the back end. All this is, right, is the ability to create custom live connected reports directly inside of Excel. And the beauty is, as I've already showed you with the Smart Excel visual, everybody, your end users can now come in here, okay, and they can begin to augment this with basic human calculations. So now we have raw data coming from our back-end model, and now we have the ability for end users to come in here and augment that with basic Excel formulas to do all different types of calculations. They can add spark lines, they can add visuals, they can do everything they want. And again, everything here is drill downable because of how we set up that report to begin with. So as you can see, team, this type of tool, provides and kind of takes Fabric and Power BI to the next step. It allows you guys, right, to have an AI-ready platform, right? Fabric is laying the groundwork for that, but with Acteris and Microsoft together, you start to have a very unique value proposition. You keep your end users in one spot at all times, right? And together, we are unlocking a future where decisions happen at the speed of business. It's like right in the same time something's going on, we see an anomaly, I can take an action. All of this stuff is wrapped in audit logs, workflows, and approvals, all different types of things. So now, with that being said, Sean, we'll open things up for questions, my friend. I really appreciate all of you guys, staying with me and enjoying and being active participants. So over to you, Sean.
Yeah, thank you, Mike, for a great presentation demo. So now getting the questions answering part. Should you wish to ask a question, please feel free to type in the questions box now. So the first question is, how would you build a near real-time solution which uses ERP data, which is transformed and put in a business logic before it arrives in the Power BI report? Which road would you recommend?
So with that being said, I mean, if the data is already in your models, right, that's fantastic, and we will leverage that for Acteris. So that's the cool thing. So inside of that modeler engine, you can actually live connect and look at your Power BI models. So as an example, you guys are ETLing data in, right? It's cleansed in your opinion, but maybe now we want to take the next step and add some data validation logic and add additional information, right, on top of that, or some side of logic. You can use the Acteris portal to now set up Acteris types, to create anomaly detection, to create rules, right, with common sense ability. So having the ability, like even the smart Excel visual I was showing everybody, you can actually have a data validation tab there that you can set up data validation logic from the front end. Not everything has to be a back end answer, right? So set up data validation on the front end that allows people to see anomalies or different issues that you may have within your data model that slip through the cracks, right, as you cleanse that data and brought it in to your Power BI model.
Perfect. So the next question is, what are the key indicators that an organization is truly AI ready?
All those anomaly detections, right? And those becoming a thing of the past, right? So the more you get through and the less and less you see on these anomaly detections and the different manual interventions, that's when you're going to start to be AI ready. You know, you need to spend time. You need to be able to validate. You need to have that gate at the end to be able to do that. Now, the thing is, AI ready, like there's never a perfect time, right? Like I'm a parent, right? I'm a father of 3. When I got married, it's like, are you ready for a kid? Well, there's really no one's actually really ready for like a crying baby in your house at all times. So it's just like one of those things that we have to start putting our best foot forward. And you know, done right is better than perfect. So with AI readiness, having, you know, no matter where you are on your journey, if we have this end game of manual intervention from a human, you guys can start to take advantage of that almost immediately, right? Because based on certain types of automation that you can do with Fabric, plus human insights will actually make your data AI ready pretty fast and a lot sooner than you may assumed. So that's the thought process, is we don't have to wait. There is no perfect time to be AI ready. It's more, we're providing tools that allow you to accelerate that, where you don't have to go through and wait for every single thing in your entire organization to be automated, right? That's unrealistic and that will take so much time. With this, we can kind of accelerate that, let you end users get the results, take advantage of that, because now you have that data validation layer with human insights directly inside the platform.
Perfect. And next question there is, would you recommend to use an event stream / event house for structured data which needs to be put into a business logic?
Can you repeat that? I'm not sure I'm tracking
Yeah.
with that question. Yeah.
Would you recommend to use a event stream / event house for structured data which needs to be put into a business logic?
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah, you can do that. You know, a lot of people are leveraging different types of attributes and data streams that will actually populate and manipulate, you know, and help and assist with anomaly detection. So yes, 1000% you can do that if that's what you guys would like to do. You can feed all different types of parameters into your business logic from the back end, and other users want to maybe do that from the front end, right? Where they are, you think about an equation, right? X times Y equals Z. Sometimes they want the end user to come in from the front end and do Y. Other times we're going to systematically add that from different types of things. Think about like conversion rates, right? Some people want to pull conversion rates from a website or from a different database that they may have or access to, right? And then feed that into a business logic that will then drive the front end reporting and any type of anomaly detection that we're doing.
Perfect. Next question is, how does Acteris manage user level security and ensure that sensitive data planning data
Yep.
is only accessible to authorized users?
Great question. Rule of thumb, everybody, out of the box, whatever role level security you have built into Power BI and Fabric today will pass through to our product. That's the beauty of our partnership with Microsoft. So first things first, if they can see something and they're already allowed to do that, and you have limitations to what they cannot see, that passes through to our product automatically. Now, with that being said, we also have all different types of role level security, things that can be managed through the Acteris portal that I showed you, where you can actually set up business logic based on enter ID, enter groupings, right? Where you can say, hey, this entire group can view this, but only write to this. So you can actually manage and manipulate role level security with our product, and the fact that we work with some of the largest companies in the world, and we work on financial data that's extremely and highly confidential, especially when it comes to salaries and things like that, right? We have every trick under the sun. So again, leveraging the typical Power BI functions out of the box, and then also having the ability to update RLS via enter ID, via individual person. You can even lock down individual cells or data types if you would like.
Perfect. I don't know if you answered this already, but how can organizations using Fabric and Acteris ensure compliance and regulations such as GDPR or industry-specific data retention rules?
Yep. So again, you can bake that in systematically, or we can bake that in the front end, right? So when it comes to GDPR, right, it's something that you have to really pay attention to, and there's going to be certain logic and rules that you can now, embed both systematically or even via the front end that will ensure that, hey, we have X, Y, and Z, or we have the ability for a true false statement like a checkbox that can give you the attributes you need, that if this person is opted out or this person is opted in, you can actually manage all of those things directly inside the platform as well.
Perfect.
And GDPR
Sorry.
compliance is like, we could have a breakout session, right, on that in itself.
Yeah.
So whoever asked that question, please feel free to reach out, and we can do that as well.
Perfect. So just next question there is it enough to have RLS in Power BI, or do I need to implement it in Lakehouse as well?
Nope, Power BI is just fine. That's a piggyback on the security question that you just asked, Sean. So yeah, row level security in Power BI is perfectly fine. Again, out of the box, without lifting a finger from a security profile perspective, if they can see it, they can write back to it, right? So if you have RLS already set up in your Power BI report, you're good. If you want them to be able to see something, but only write back to a subset of that, you can use the Acteris portal to update your RLS and create those rules using basic, simple drop downs and drag and drop experience.
Perfect. So it looks like that's all the questions. So on behalf of the ESPC community, we'd like to extend a big thank you to you again, Mike, for taking time out today to carry out this webinar. Really appreciate it.
Absolutely, Sean. Thanks a lot for everyone here. Here's my contact information. We have a full team in Europe from our sales organization. We have all of our resources in Europe as well. So for anyone that wants to get in contact, please let me know. You can reach out to me. You can reach out via our website. Make sure you follow us on LinkedIn. We're always putting out all kinds of cool content. And again, thank you everybody for sticking with me. We appreciate it and hope you all have a great week, all right?
Amazing. So that's the end of today's webinar. You can find this webinar and more at sharepointeurope.com/research center. Thanks again for all of you for joining us today, and I hope you join us again soon. Take care.